Hi, everyone. Good morning. Good afternoon. I'm Jim with Helios Partnership Success, and welcome to our webinar, Making Sense of the American Rescue Plan. At 4 times larger than the CARES Act from nearly a year ago, the American Rescue Plan is what many schools and districts need right now, but you might be wondering, well, how does it all work? Just when can you get the funds, and what can it all be used on? We're going to be covering this today in this webinar led by my colleague, Brian Juarez, who has more than 20 years experience in education as a teacher, an ed tech specialist, and national presenter of professional development workshops. And we'll also have a couple quiz questions during the webinar for your chance to win some Starbucks gift cards and a Q&A at the end. So if you have questions during the presentation, just go ahead, type them into the Q&A box, and we will get to them at the end. So without further ado, Brian, please take it away.
Awesome, Jim. Thank you so much. So great to have everyone here today. Jim and I are the partnership success team here at Helios. We have been around, actually Helios has been around for over a decade, working with schools and districts, helping them shift to paperless and stay safe. So I'm going to share my screen. And there we go. That's the one I want to share right there. Well, thanks again for joining us today. Hopefully you're having a fantastic day, and hopefully your school is opening or in the process of opening. We really hope that's taking place. We know schools are taking place, or the schools are in session across the nation at different times. So hopefully yours is going well and haven't had any outbreaks. So the third part of the rescue plan, COVID funding, if you want to see the first two, one was in March of last year, right when this all started, as well as the second one, I think was in June or July. We do have those on our blog if you want to check those out. This one is absolutely amazing. It is the American Rescue Plan. I know you've heard about it, but I'm excited to tell you a little bit about it and how much money will be here to shore up schools. Take a look at this table, if you will. I love it. The K-12 section there, the CARES Act was $13.2 billion. Afterwards, the COVID relief package was $54 billion. And then the American Rescue Plan, $126 billion for K-12 schools to be distributed through the federal Title I formula for funding schools and districts with concentrated poverty. The K-12 dollar focus on helping schools reopen and helping students catch up on learning. We're going to talk about that as well. I have a great video for you as well. I think you'll really enjoy. And catch up on learning that's been missed during that pandemic. While the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan isn't larger than the $2.9 trillion CARES Act, it does send a lot more money, if you notice, to K-12 than the other prior federal packages. In particular, the ESSER Fund, or the Elementary and Secondary Emergency Relief Fund, goes directly to school districts for a variety of eligible services, and that's grown substantially. There is no allocation for governor's emergency education relief. There was in the first two. This one does not have GERF, G-E-E-R-F, for the governor's emergency education relief fund, so that this does not have it. But he will have funds that he can use. He or she, the governor, will have discretion in allocating extra funds that aren't sub-granted to local districts or dedicated for learning loss, summer enrichment, and after-school programs. I like this table as well, per pupil dollars. If you look at Title I, this is the Title I that was spent per pupil 2019, 2020. That's the latest data we have, $640 per pupil. CARES Act brought an additional $270, CCRSA, $1,100. Oh my gosh, the American Rescue Plan, $2,600 per pupil. That is absolutely amazing. We'll go in some fun facts too, so I'm excited to share those with you. So how much will my school district get, or your school district get? Well, that's going to be 2.2 times the last federal aid package. So as a rule of thumb, districts can expect approximately 2.2 times whatever you receive from the last federal aid package. Like prior relief bills, the money is distributed in a way that closely tracks poverty, which will lead to large differences in what school districts get. Although the average funding is $2,600, some high poverty districts will get several $1,000s more per student. For instance, Los Angeles County schools will be getting over $6,000 per student, according to analysis by EdSource, while Chicago will be getting $5,200 per student. But on the average, it's going to be the $2,600 there per student. Keep in mind that since districts will be in charge of most of this money, it's impossible at this point to estimate how much a given school will receive. But rest assured, those funds will be there for you. What can this new money be used for? And that's a great question that we get. And what can those be used for? First off, summer school and after school programs. I love after school programs. As a middle school teacher, I taught intercession. So we were on 3 months, off 1 month, on 3 months, off 1 month. During that time, I was able to help my students, especially my ELL students, learn the language, master English. And that was a great time because I saw their scores soar after this, and it was absolutely magical. Also, it's going to help you reduce the risk of spreading the virus. So HVAC, air conditioning, making sure all those things are top shape. Public health guidance. I'm sure each county may be a little different, but what guidance are we receiving? Make sure you know that and make sure you're following those guidelines. Continuity of services as well, and continuing to employ existing staff, not hiring new staff, but being able to employ that existing staff. And activities based on unique needs. I had a lot of homeless, had a lot of foster. I had quite a few, like I said, ELL students as well. Homeless, I have a principal friend, and she has a lot of homeless students. So those funds, or these funds, can definitely be used for that. Other things, cleaning supplies. Oh my gosh, yeah, absolutely. And really strategies on how to clean as well. So cleaning supplies, education technology. When I was a teacher, 90% at least of my students did not have computers at home. So they went to the library, they went to the churches. Now, I was real excited for research I saw the other day, and I don't even know where I saw this. So if you know, send me send the chat. But it said that most students are being able to access the computers now from home. I just love to access the internet. Another thing to be used for is mental health services as well. So, oh my gosh, that is absolutely huge. A lot of stress not being able to see friends. We already know the learning loss. So it could be used for that mental health as well. So I love that aspect of it. The one notable restriction is districts must, underline must, use at least 20% of the money to address learning loss. Examples of this mentioned in the law includes summer learning, includes extended day, includes after-school programs. In addition to more K-12 funding, the American Rescue Plan requires states to reserve 5% to local districts and reserve 20% of ESSER funds for addressing learning loss through implementation of evidence-based interventions that respond to academic and social and emotional needs of students. Here's a video. This is New Jersey. New Jersey, if you remember way back when, about a year ago when all this started, New Jersey was heavily hit. In fact, they were probably hit among the first states to really start experiencing some major issues with this pandemic. So let's take a look at this video. I think you can learn a lot from it, and I have a document coming to you as well on this study that they did. So without further ado, let's watch.
Only 1 in 3 students is projected to be on grade level in English language arts, and less than 1 in 4 students is projected to be on grade level in math. And our Black and Latina students are doing even worse.
It comes as no surprise that there's been learning loss during the COVID-19 pandemic, students learning from home, many with little or no access to technology. But even experts were startled to see the results in a first-of-its-kind study to measure the learning loss, and even more shocked to see the disparities for students of color.
We found that our Black and Latina students had more lost learning in the fall than their more advantaged peers. So in math, our Black students lost close to 50% of learning and 43% of learning in ELA.
Jersey Can, an education policy group that ran the study, hopes results like a 50% learning loss among Black students will launch a statewide conversation.
Today's report is a roadmap for us to all come together and say, we have a very unique opportunity right now to look at the data, to talk about policy in a truthful setting, and to use the generous amount of resources that are coming into the state and the districts to deal with the current pandemic learning loss.
One solution comes from a bill that's just had a hearing in the Senate Education Committee that would allow parents to hold their children back to catch up on the year they lost.
We believe the most urgent solution is prioritizing summer learning for any student who wants to learn this summer. It really would be a parental choice. Quite simply, we can't let this summer go by with more students falling behind.
We know there's learning loss, and we are throwing everything but the kitchen sink at that. We put a ton of money from the prior federal money, not just per capita, but at learning loss and mental health. We're still getting guidance on the American Rescue Plan. Will that potentially include summer, extra hours, tutoring, professional development for educators? All of the above is my guess.
And without that investment, there will be long-term consequences because learning loss equals earning loss once these students graduate and enter the workforce.
It's estimated from the study that for Black and Brown children, that's about $80,000 of earnings loss, which is about a full year's worth of income or 2 years worth of income for the average Black family in New Jersey.
For parents who are watching this, what should they be looking for to understand where their kids fall and how they can be the advocate for their child?
Parents really should be taking this information and taking it back to their individual conversations. Really try to dig deeper with the teacher and understand, are there gaps that need to be filled for your student? And is your student socially and emotionally ready to continue progressing?
Senator Ruiz has introduced a separate bill that would expand summer learning options throughout the state. She said the time to move on it is now, before any more time is lost. For NJ Spotlight News, I'm Joanna Gagis.
All right, I thought that was very, very insightful, but now it is time for the quiz, and then we'll come back and talk about time to act. I love those three words, time to act. So Jim, over to you for our quiz.
Righteous. Brian, thank you very much. Let's go ahead here and get into our quiz. Winner, this is going to get a Starbucks gift card. So I'm going to go ahead here, show our question. When you've got your response, just go ahead, type it into the chat box. And again, first person to get it correct gets a Starbucks gift card. So question, the average funding per student in the American Rescue Plan is it A, $10,000? Is it B, $2,600? C, $3,750? Or D, none of the above? A, B, C, or D? Brian, what's our responses coming in here?
Great question. And Kim actually responded first with B. Let's see if she's right, Jim.
B it is. Very good.
Awesome.
Nice. Right on, Kim. Cool. All right. Well, we'll get you a Starbucks gift card here. Way to go, Kim. I'll hand it back over to you, Brian.
Awesome. Thanks, Jim. All right. So thank you and good job, Kim. Woo-hoo! Way to listen. I love it. And everybody else had it right as well, but Kim was first. So I love that. The time for talking is over. Now is the time to act. As you all know that. You know what? We've all been responding for over a year. It is now time to act. And I love that's what the name of the New Jersey research was. And that's in chat. So if you want to take a look at that report, I think it's very awesome. Great, easy to understand as well, and may give you some suggestions. As I said, New Jersey was one of the earliest states that was hit by COVID-19. This study analyzes lost learn during that time, the first half of 2021 school year, and project New Jersey's COVID slide, how students performed pre-pandemic to how they performed due to COVID lost learning in an effort to support our students' education recovery. So I just love that. Want to throw that in here as a bonus to you today. So hopefully that's something that you can glean some information from. Now, will this money actually work to address learning loss? That is the $126 billion question. Of course, research, including reports that Jim just added to chat as well, shows that those schools that are more funded, the scores are up. So it shows that students tend to make more progress when their schools are better funded. There we go. Some strategies that schools are considering, like small group tutoring. I did that quite a bit. Love that. That was always awesome too, because students are learning together in these small groups. Extended school day, and also both of those have a track record of success. On the other hand, this legislation provides a lot of money that must be spent in a relatively short time. But that can make it a little bit harder for schools to spend these dollars effectively or make it permanent. And the study that Jim posted to chat, 4 new studies bolster the case, more money for schools help low-income students. Hopefully this is something that you can glean some information from as well. I think it's really, there's 4 studies here that could help you. Now, how much will schools get in total? $126 billion for education. So that is absolutely amazing. Grateful for that funding. Fun facts. Now here's a fun fact I really thought were interesting. This is the largest single federal outlay on K-12 education in U.S. history. Wow. 8 times what is spent on the Title I program. 8 times. We saw that in that the first photo, or the second photo I shared too. More than twice what the federal government spends on education in a typical year. Wow, so they're hearing you saying, oh my gosh, we need more funds, we need more funds. They're hearing you and they're acting. Time to act, remember. 20% of all K-12 public operating spending in 2018. Imagine that. So 20% of all K-12 public operating spending in 2018. That's what this $126 billion equates to. And then the 3 relief packages together add up to much more federal help than schools got during the Great Recession. I know there were so many of us that were unemployed during that time, and what a hard time that was. But this 3 packages add up to more than federal money spent for schools at that time. So I thought that was really interesting as well. How does all this money get divided up? That's a great question. Although we don't know specifically what each district is going to get, we do know $126 billion, 90% to school districts. Of course, based on your Title I. 5% to address learning loss, and $800 million to help homeless students. The U.S. Department of Education gets $800 million to identify and support students who are homeless, and also issue grants to do the same. States can decide how to use a small share that's left. And there's a separate $2.58 billion going to states for students with disabilities as well. And the first 2 webinars we discussed for COVID funding, we were talking about the students with disabilities. So hopefully you've been able to service those students. So yeah, a lot of amazing numbers here as well. Now, how do I get this money? Do states have to compete for any money like they did with Race to the Top? And I really hope you're a fan of Angry Cat. I know I am, even though Angry Cat passed away. But the answer is no. No, you do not. So that is absolutely fantastic. A provision to that effect initially proposed by Biden was ultimately nixed. A number of education groups privately oppose the idea. So no, you do not have to compete for those funds. Once again, those are based on your Title I funding. Will this help schools close the gaps in internet access? As you may remember at the very beginning, I was talking about my students, 90% at least did not have internet access at home. And I know that's a lot for the inner cities. Your district may be the same, maybe the similar demographics. So what's happening there? E-rate. Hopefully you've heard of E-rate. E-rate is absolutely amazing. There are more than 42,700 schools that use E-rate. And awesome news, this bill includes $7 billion more to create an emergency connectivity fund through a program known as E-rate, which subsidizes internet access for schools and libraries. So there's a link there as well for E-rate. So hopefully you're seeing all these links that we're posting for you. A lot of great information. Now we said a relatively short time to use this funding. So what is a relatively short time? How long do you have to spend all this money? October 1st, 2024. Now we may think, well, you know what, that's a little bit of way off, but oh my gosh, did this year not fly by? And then as is every year, it seems like the older we get, the faster time goes. So it's going to go before we even know it, and be October 21st, 2024 already. And putting some more resources here for you as well. Future Ed, I know some of you have seen this before, but Future Ed perspective on how schools should spend COVID relief aid. Go ahead and take a look at that. There's a lot of great information you can glean there as well. There's a link, but it's also posted by Jim. So Jim, thank you so much for doing that. As in the first two webinars, there is a U.S. Department of Education fact sheet. So that is attached for you as well. Lots of great information there. Everything you need to know, and probably even those things you don't even want to know are going to be on those forms for you. And then last but not least, for charter schools, any charter schools with us today, what will the American Rescue Plan Act mean for your school? And that's on public charter schools website. That's posted as well. So take a look at that, because that's going to be really useful for you. Hopefully the information we shared has been useful for you. Hopefully these resources will be even more useful. They will be on our blog, so be sure to check out our blog later. You look at our first two webinars as well. And thank you for coming today. If you have questions, make sure you're putting those in Q&A. I'm actually going to turn the time over to Jim for our next quiz, and then just a brief synopsis of Helios and who we are and how we helped our schools stay safe during this pandemic. Jim, over to you, sir.
Cool. All right. Thank you, Brian. All right, so let's do it. Quiz question the second. So just like the first one, go ahead, type your correct response in. First one to get it gets a Starbucks gift card. Here we go. Quiz number 2. What can be purchased with these funds? Is it A, cleaning supplies, B, education technology, C, mental services, or D, all of the above? A, B, C, or D. Type those responses in. Brian, what's our responses?
Oh my gosh, some great questions or great answers here. Michelle was super quick with D. Let's see if Michelle is right. So we can send her a Starbucks gift card.
Da-da-da.
Yay! Awesome.
Very nice. Cool.
Good
Awesome,
job,
Michelle. Way to go. Great job. Cool. We'll send you a Starbucks gift card. And Brian, again, thank you so much for doing all of this. This is phenomenal. I know this is important information for folks to know, especially education administrators. So thanks for giving us the rundown. And, you know, we know another crucial part of what education administrators do is processing all the back end implications of this. And that equates to things like hiring, onboarding, evaluations, time reporting, so on and so forth. And, you know, we know that during COVID, it's been especially challenging for many teams to handle all of this, and that their best bet is to have everything they need remotely and electronically accessible. So if you're looking to streamline and go paperless with all your processes, go web-based, be able to access it from anywhere, check us out at heliosed.com. We've been working solely with K-12 HR and business for over a decade and do everything from hire to retire. So we'll be happy to get you set up with a demo. We have every Friday this month our shifting to paperless webinar. You can sign up for that at heliosed.com, and we'll be happy to have you there or do a private demo. Whatever it is that you would like, we'll be happy to work with you. And at this point here, let's get into our Q&A. So if there's any questions that you have, please go ahead, type them into the chat box, into the Q&A box, and we'll answer those here. I have, looks like at least 2 questions here. Brian, could this new federal money just be canceled out by state cuts to schools?
The good news there, Jim, is the answer is no.
Cool.
If they wanted to cut state funding, particularly to high poverty school districts set to receive a lot of federal funds, states are going to run into a lot of restrictions. The legislation, unlike the previous 2 packages, bars states from making deeper cuts to high poverty school districts compared to other districts. So the answer is no. So we're glad about that.
All right, cool. Right on. And looks like I got one more question here. We're interested in a system that includes e-signatures. Does your system have that? I can answer that. Yes, we do.
Absolutely, Jim. Go for it.
Yeah, we have e-signature. Really simple, just simple with a click, e-signature. Send all your forms out to your employees. Really easy for HR and business to do that with workflows, individual forms, all of the above. So yes, simple answer, yes, we have e-signature.
Absolutely. Good answer, Jim. Good answer. Yay.
Thank you. Thank you, Ryan. Cool. Well, unless there's any other questions here that pop up, I think that's time for us.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here today. Take a look at our blog. It's going to have the resources listed for you. We have questions. Here's a number. Reach out to us. We'd love to chat with you. Thank you so much.